Going up and down, your taxes could soon be changing.
Wrapping up a day 2 of a high-profile shaken baby trial.
And sticking around, a historic Columbia building's fate is sealed. KOMU 8 News at 10 starts now.
From Studio 8A, coverage you can count on in high definition. This is KOMU 8 News at 10.
The taxes you pay could soon change, one going up while others go down. Good evening, I'm Brittany Pieper.
And I'm Jim Reek. Thanks for joining us. The state sales tax could increase while the income tax decreases. That's according to a bill passed by the Missouri Senate this afternoon. The bill changes Missouri's tax code for 5 years. It cuts individual and corporate income tax rates by 0.75%. It raises the state's sales tax by 0.5%. The party line vote came after nearly 2 hours of heated debate. Democrats say the bill would unfairly shift the tax burden on the poor, while Republicans say lower income taxes would lead to economic growth.
This is a policy shift that is going, in my opinion, is going to drive the economy up, and it's going to put money back in the hands of taxpayers and small businesses in Missouri.
We've cut revenue to where it has reduced this state government, and now this bill does it faster and quicker.
Governor Nixon has made it clear he is against the bill, which now heads to the House.
Day 2 of testimony concluded this afternoon in the trial of Shelley Richter, the Taos woman accused of shaking a child at her home daycare facility in August of 2010. KOMU 8's Megan Malaris has been following this case for the past year and joins us in the studio to recap what happened today in court. Megan?
Jim and Brittany, today the prosecution called 5 witnesses. 4 are medical doctors who worked with young Lane Schaefer following the incident. One doctor said his forensic medical review concluded the then 7-month-old had been shaken and slammed into a blunt, soft object like a sofa cushion or mattress. The witnesses disputed Richter's claims that she tripped and accidentally dropped Lane Schaefer about 3 to 4 feet to the floor. This is video of Richter in the pink blouse and black jacket, leaving court today with friends and family. Now, tomorrow, the defense calls its witnesses, and based on testimony thus far, those witnesses most likely will try to bolster Richter's claim of a trip and fall accident. Today, in its cross-examination of prosecution witnesses, Richter's defense emphasized that Lane Schaefer's injuries could have happened any time up to 72 hours before Lane Schaefer went to the hospital. In other words, they suggested the injuries that induced his diagnosed shaken baby syndrome did not necessarily happen at Richter's home daycare. Let's review what Richter faces. Richter has been charged with 1 count of abuse of a child, a Class B felony, and 1 count of endangering the welfare of a child, a Class C felony. If found guilty on both counts, Richter could receive a maximum 22-year prison sentence. Now, Judge Patricia Joyce says she expects the jury will begin deliberating by tomorrow afternoon and could reach a verdict as early as Wednesday evening or Thursday morning. Family members of victim Lane Schaefer told KOMU 8 News they would not comment on the case until after the jury reaches a verdict.
It turned out to be a cold and windy evening tonight. Winds have been pretty steady, sustained out of the northwest. Coming up for you in a moment or two here on KOMU 8 News at 10.
All right, thanks, Dave. One historic Columbia building's fate may be out of limbo tonight. Take a look. You may recognize the Niedermeyer apartments in downtown Columbia. They were originally built in 1837 to house the Christian Female Academy, now Stevens College. This year, the building's owner planned to sell it to a St. Louis student housing developer that planned to tear it down. KOMU 8's Dan Kennedy is live there now. And Dan, what's changed?
If you're a history buff, you may know that when this apartment complex was built in 1837, Andrew Jackson was president. Now, fast forward many years later, many presidents later, we can now confirm that St. Louis company Collegiate Housing Partners has agreed to sell this building. So for now, the structure stays standing.
The founder of Boone County of Columbia, its first mayor, its first postmaster.
Elizabeth Gentry Syod names off the laundry list of hats her great-grandfather once wore.
State senator in the first legislature that met in Jefferson City.
Also on General Richard Gentry's resume, he built this building, now the Niedermeyer Apartments, 175 years ago. Collegiate Housing Partners wanted to buy this 4-story apartment complex and turn it into a 15-story building for student housing. Now, to give you a perspective of what that would look like, that's a Tiger Hotel here in downtown. It is 10 stories tall. And perhaps to paint a more accurate picture for you, show you what it would look like, if you go on the other end of downtown, you see Paquin Towers. It's the tallest building in downtown, standing at 15 stories tall.
We have listened to your concerns.
And Collegiate Housing Partners decided against demolition.
One of our company's core principles is being a good community developer, and listening to the community plays a large role in that.
But now it's selling the building, and the historic home at 10th and Cherry is preserved.
This place catches people's eyes. You know, my window's always open. I always hear people asking each other who don't know about this building, what it is.
Now, tenants like Henry Lowe will continue to call this home, and Gentry's great-great-grandfather's legacy lives on.
If a community doesn't know its stories, it has no history.
MU math professor Naki Asmar bought this building for an undisclosed amount. He wouldn't talk to us today, but another person did. Brent Gardner, he's a realtor and a member of the Historic Preservation Commission. He says unlike other historic preservation projects he's worked on, everyone wanted to see the Niedermeyer stay. Reporting live from downtown Columbia, I'm Dan Kennedy, KOMU 8 News.
2 Jefferson City officials resigned today with no explanation. The city's communication manager announced Public Works Director Roger Schwartz is stepping down. His resignation takes effect April 1st. In that same statement, the communication director herself announced her resignation. Michelle Gleba started in March of 2010. She was the first person to hold that position. Schwartz and Gleba did not return our phone calls today. Neither did the city or the Public Works Department. The Jefferson City City Council says it will discuss resignations, budget issues, and morale at a special meeting Thursday morning.
Military students are feeling the sequestration sting. The Air Force announced today it will join the Army, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard in suspending its tuition assistance programs. The programs paid up to $4,500 a year in tuition for eligible service members. Payments already approved under the program will still be paid. Columbia College announced its plan to deal with those cuts today. The college will defer tuition charges for the term beginning March 25th while students seek other funding. For those unable to find other financial assistance, the college will offer a no liability withdrawal policy or an extended 6-month payment plan. Students at Columbia College participate in ROTC through a program with MU. MU officials have not yet released a plan, but one commander says veterans will just have to find other ways to pay for school.
Now, will it cause some people to drop out of school right now? It might. It might cause a couple people to delay a semester or two because that was their primary means to pay for it. But they're just going to have to do, what other people do to find a way to pay for it.
The commander you just heard from expects the Department of Defense will reverse the cuts to the program once the sequestration is over.
Ashland's Planning and Zoning voted to implement regulations for RV parks last November. The owners of the Golden Windmill Mobile Home Park wanted to put travel trailers on empty lots, but city ordinances do not allow RVs in mobile home parks. Planning and Zoning says there may eventually be a demand for more RV parking before MU football games.
There has been some discussion about what Ashland's going to do in the future to accommodate the SEC needs and the SEC fans. Conversations regarding hotel motel and conversations regarding RV parks have started.
Planning and Zoning Commission voted in favor of certain regulations but agreed to vote on more specific RV guidelines in the future.
3 inmates who escaped from the Butler County Justice Center in southeast Missouri are back in custody tonight. The 3 men were led back to jail today. The Butler County Sheriff's Department says they escaped together by climbing into the ceiling and through air ducts. The men were discovered just 4 miles from the jail. One of them is being held on numerous assault charges and the other 2 for murder.
The sinkhole just outside of Jefferson City has residents concerned. It started last fall and has gotten much bigger since then. Neighbors are concerned the hole will get bigger. They're also worried about more sinkholes in the area. It's about 60 feet long, 15 feet wide, and full of water. Engineers don't know if this sinkhole will get larger. That would require a major drilling operation at the property owner's expense.
This wasn't the only recent sinkhole. A St. Louis area man experienced one firsthand after a sinkhole opened up beneath him Friday on the fairway of a Southwest Illinois golf course. The man says he was just setting up his shot when he began to free fall. Luckily, he's only recovering from a minor shoulder injury.
That's a hazard you don't need. A mid-Missouri community bands together to raise money and hope for a family struggling with the loss of a child.
And smoke rises from the Vatican, what it means for the future of the Catholic Church.
Black and white, what the smoke signals from the Vatican mean. It's coming up.
Plus, bicyclists ride 400 miles to the nation's capital. We'll tell you why they made the journey.
The first vote of the cardinal electors is over, and they haven't decided on a new pope yet. Heavy black smoke rose from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel this afternoon, signaling the cardinals did not select a new pope. Smoke was seen by thousands in St. Peter's Square. Cardinals will hold a new round of voting tomorrow and remain in the Vatican until they elect Pope Benedict's successor. When they agree on the new pope, white smoke will rise from the chimney and the bells of St. Peter's Basilica will ring.
As the cardinals work in Vatican City, Catholic officials in the United States are working to clear the church's name. The Catholic Archdiocese of Los Angeles will pay nearly $10 million to settle 4 cases of alleged sexual abuse. The cases all involve ex-priest Michael Baker, who was removed from the ministry after telling a cardinal in 1986 he had molested 2 boys. But Baker later returned to the ministry, where they say he's alleged to have abused more children.
A team of 26 cyclists arrived in the nation's capital today after riding nearly 400 miles from Newtown, Connecticut. Team 26 rolled to the Capitol to support gun control legislation. The team is named in honor of the 26 people murdered at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Cyclists called themselves bike messengers, delivering letters to members of Congress supporting stricter gun control.
Hickman plays in the state semifinals this Friday.
QP Senior plans to lead his team to a historic season. Sports is next. Chris, thank you very much. The best of the best are gathering at the Green Bay Packers stomping grounds.
But not for football. It's a competition of what the state does best, dairy.